You ever have one of those days where everything just clicks? Or, the opposite, where everything goes wrong and you just can't figure out why? It makes you wonder, right? What if there are these invisible forces, things beyond our control that are secretly guiding our lives? Well, let's dive into some really fascinating ideas about the hidden architecture of our lives. So, we're going to dig into an incredible text that proposes exactly that. We're going to break down 8 mysterious external factors that, according to the author, are secretly influencing our entire journey through life. Our guide for this journey is a 2020 text by an author named Yu Feng. And the main idea here is that our lives are constantly being shaped by these powerful, unseen influences. Everything from the world around us to, get this, the actions of our ancestors. So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the tangible world around us, stuff we can see and touch. Then we'll venture into the more mysterious, spiritual, and ancestral realms. After that, we'll look at forces that are super personal. And finally, we'll see what the author suggests we do to navigate all this complexity. All right, first up, let's get our feet on the ground. Literally. The source suggests that the very space we live in has a huge and often totally overlooked impact on our well-being. The very first factor is feng shui. Now, when you hear that, you probably think about where to put your couch, right? Well, according to this text, it's way, way bigger than that. It's about the total influence of your entire geographic and atmospheric environment. And check out how specific this gets. We're talking about the quality of the air you breathe, how much light you get, the climate you live in, is it damp or dry, and even the chemical makeup of your water and the local geomagnetic field. The author claims these things can literally cause or cure chronic illnesses. And to really hammer this point home, the text gives this super concrete example. Someone suffering from arthritis in a damp region could see their condition totally vanish just by moving to a dry climate for a few years. That's a pretty powerful claim about our surroundings. But the idea of our environment doesn't stop there. The author makes this wild claim that cosmic rays, which are stronger or weaker at different latitudes, are a key reason for differences in skin color. And then, of course, you've got the social environment, the culture, the values you grew up with, which shapes your entire personality and how you see the world. Okay, so we've covered the physical world. Now we're going to take a turn into the more metaphysical, let's say. The source argues that we're also being influenced by forces from, well, unseen realms. Factor number 3 is spirits. Now, the idea here is that everything in nature, mountains, rivers, even animals, has its own form of consciousness or spirit. And the text suggests that if we show respect to these spirits, we can actually gain their protection and avoid bad luck. For example, the author claims that if you offer a sincere prayer to the spirit of a mountain before you hike it, you'll be kept safe from falling or getting hurt. It's all about building a respectful relationship with the world around you. And then we have factor number 4, your ancestors' karma. The idea here is that the moral legacy of your ancestors, their good deeds or their misdeeds, creates a kind of ripple effect that flows right down to you, directly influencing your family's prosperity or its decline. So we've covered our environment and our ancestors. Now we get to the final set of forces. And these are both deeply personal and kind of abstract. It's like they're woven right into the fabric of our fate. The author splits these last few into 2 groups. First, there are the forces that actually come from other people and are aimed directly at us. And this is a big one. Factor 5, the curses and resentment of other people. The text calls this a potent, invisible thought force. It claims that if you're surrounded by constant negativity, it can actually drain your spirit, make you physically sick, and that a really deep-seated curse can even ruin an entire family. Then, on the other hand, you've got forces that don't feel like an attack from the outside. They feel more like they're a fundamental part of our own personal blueprint. This brings us to factor 6, destiny's trajectory. The idea here is that your soul carries like a spiritual bank account of all the good and bad things from past lives. And this account creates a preset path for you in this life, arranging all the good luck and bad luck you're going to run into. So, those moments when you think, how did I get so lucky? Or on the flip side, why on earth did I have to meet that person? Well, according to this source, those moments aren't random at all. They're prearranged stops on your soul's predetermined journey. The next factor is called Shuli, which you could translate as numerology. But hold on, this isn't about picking lottery numbers. The text defines it as this really fundamental principle of numbers that governs symmetry, proportion, and balance in, well, everything. The author uses a perfect example to help this make sense. We think a body that has the proportions of the golden ratio is beautiful. Why? Because its symmetry and balance are in perfect sync with this underlying mathematical principle. And when things are out of sync with it, they fall apart. And this principle is supposed to apply to everything. I mean, how high should your front door be? When is the best day to hold an important meeting? Even something as simple as how many bowls your family ought to own. The source claims that when these numbers are right, life goes smoothly. When they're not, things get messy. Okay, so let's recap. We have feng shui, spirits, karma, curses, destiny, and the fundamental laws of math all influencing us. It's a lot to juggle, right? So what does the author suggest we actually do about all this? Well, here's the final twist. The author reveals that these 8 factors we've just talked about, they're only the beginning. There are actually 64 in total. Trying to manage all of those would be absolutely impossible. But the text says there is one simple method to navigate this whole complex web. So what is this one simple method? It's to follow the Tao, or the way. The author's ultimate point is that instead of trying to control dozens of external forces, the only thing you really need to focus on is your own inner world. By cultivating harmony, by acting with virtue and doing good things, you naturally align yourself with the positive flow of the universe. So really, the takeaway is this. Whether you see these factors as literal truths or just as powerful metaphors, they really push us to think about the unseen forces shaping our lives. So I'll leave you with this question. Which of these ideas resonates with you? Which of these invisible factors, if any, do you feel playing out in your own life?